This is Reality Dispatch, written by Jim Mintz.
At 88 years old, he moved slower than he had even 3 years earlier. The staff worried about him. His fragility grew more and more apparent. He was insistent he be left alone on these hunting expeditions with a loaded shotgun and a backpack full of shells. He never came back with any birds. If it made him happy, there was a consensus to let him go for the time being, until a medical assessment could deem the activity unwise and unsafe once and for all. Putting an end to the concern, his walks left over the castle. Despite his dwindling mobility, he was vigilant about the solace provided him with a hunt on the plains. He didn't wish for any company despite his shaky knees and recent health scares. His heart giving out was the least of his worries, he would tell the servants. He didn't want them to babysit him, and if he died out there on the hunt for a quail, so be it. It would be his time, he would reassure them. He had lived a full life and had governed the people with dignity and grace. He would be fondly remembered, and that would be okay with him. This was all just an empty facade, of course, for inside he didn't feel this in any capacity. As he approached the bitter end, he brought with him a self-inflicted sense of bitterness. There were unanswered questions that he would leave the world not knowing, not experiencing. This was a man who made it his life's mission to experience all that life would offer, but he was reined in on the extreme ends of human experience, thanks to his duty as the monarch. The irony this brought him made his anger skin deep. He hid it well, but it was ever present. Forbidden in representing his people in any wars, he never got a taste for blood. He never got a chance to slay those who would wish to bring an end to his reign. He never got a chance to end the life of a human being simply for the sheer sport of it all. Not like his ancestors who wallowed in a world they created that included countless massacres, enslavements, and human sacrifices. Those were the authors of untold acts of depravity and torture he could only imagine. He was ruling at the wrong time. His people loved him, and he longed to inflict some form of harm on them. Not because he hated them, far from it. He loved them. He loved experiences more. Walking on the muddy sludge of the Sainsbury Plains with a shotgun barrel over his shoulder, he looked out on the horizon of his country and observed the bikers moving over the ridges and onto the public roads that adorned his property. The mountain bikers favored this place, as did he for his private hunting escapades. These were public roads, but they were also his roads as king. This was not a mere symbolic association. He could enforce his might to keep them off, and the black tar clear. But tradition and custom rarely called for such drastic measures. He stood and watched on his lonesome, having ditched his escort on the morning walk an hour earlier. He observed as they moved in formation, rising and descending as the mountains dictated. There were 5 of them. He could point his weapon, reserved for the quail, and blow one of them off their wheels right this very instant. Such an act would cause a constitutional crisis, for he would surely be brought to justice for this heinous act. But who would govern the people if their king was unable to govern his own actions? There was no constitution, and there was seldom a custom in place to deal with a mad king. This is despite the 1,000 years of old wives' tales that told of kings aligned to his bloodline, having been exposed to all sorts of venereal diseases that their brains go bonkers and made heads roll. Later to be displayed on spikes that adorned the towers. What would become of him? In his 78-year reign, this is a question he often wondered and would never know. Perhaps he would die never truly discovering the answer, unless he held his weapon up, aimed it at one of the riders, and pressed the hair trigger to find out. Imagine that, he thought. He felt the trigger under his right finger. It was loose, a custom design. He didn't like to fight against the machinery should a quail bird be unfortunate enough to present itself in quick formation. He intended to strike while the winged creature was caught off guard. It would be the same with this poor chap on the wheels, he thought. From this distance? I could follow the bike across the last acre of the hillside as he reaches the paved road beneath and fill him with enough gunpowder that perhaps his left arm, facing me, could pop straight off. What if you miss? The left hemisphere of his mind asked. Well, if I miss, I miss, he answered. What will they tell the authorities? His left side retorted, I don't particularly care. This is the sort of hypothetical that keeps me up at night, my good man. I simply do not know. I am their king. Perhaps no one will believe them. Perhaps someone will believe them, and it will create global outrage. Perhaps I won't miss, and I will be charged with murder. I will then get to see what the limits of my royal decree truly are. I will get to see what my people will put up with. Magna Carta be damned. One king already discovered what the Magna Carta means in terms of divine right to rule. Are you truly mad enough to test the theory in a modern age? The king raised the barrels of his shotgun and aimed the weapon at the unsuspecting cyclist. He wasn't sure if his movements drew their attention as they spread their wheels in the mud of the Sainsbury Plains. They rode on as if they remained unsuspecting. He pinched the trigger and felt it harden against its safety. Any further squeezing would result in immediate discharge. He continued to aim. Only one way to find out, he said to himself.
For more stories of fact-based fiction, head to jimmins.substack.com.